Can you hear me? Yes, I can see the message. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know. Thank you, Manushi. Thank you, Sahil. Is there anybody else? Till now, 6 have joined. Uh, I was told that there are almost around 400 students in this class. Um, so let me wait for 2-3 more minutes. What is what I want to say is that you are instructed to write your enrollment number, um, study center code, and your name in the chat box, so that will act as your attendance. Hope who have joined can hear me. Hope who have joined can hear me. Please write your study center code, enrollment number, and name in the chat box. It will act as your attendance. Otherwise, you will be counted absent in spite of attending the class. So please write your enrollment number, study center code, and thank you, Trisha. No, you will not send the picture. Just write the study center code, your enrollment number, and your name. Shormishta, please send your study center code and enrollment number. Please send your study center code and enrollment number along with your name. That will be your attendance. Not the name only. Please send your enrollment number. Can you hear me? Can you listen to me? Send your enrollment number and study center code along with your name. Send it in a single message like Trisha. Shormishta and Munimala, please send your study center name and enrollment number, study center code, study center code and enrollment number. Who else have joined? Please cooperate, otherwise you will be marked absent. Not the name only, Divya Lakshmi. Please send your study center code and enrollment number together. Otherwise, you will be marked absent. Yes, like Paulomi, Shumedha Munimala and Divya Lakshmi. Please send once again along with your number, enrollment number and study center code. Yes, Shumedha. Sorry, Shormishta. Okay, it's around 11. Welcome to the online class of MPC 5. As we all know, we are we are going to discuss research methodology in coming 6 classes till 21st. Uh, Today, we will discuss the content of block 1, and there are 4 units in the block 1 of MPC 5. We will discuss all of those units. So let us start. You know, research methodology is a very important part in any science subject because it helps to study the subject in a proper scientific way. We all know psychology is established as a science. In order to carry out the purpose of the subject in a systematic way, we need a systematic methodology too. In that context comes the concept of research, and it is necessary to know about what research is, what are the criteria of a good research, what are its purpose and its steps. Now, the word research, it is composed of 2 syllables, re and search. Re means, the dictionary meaning of re is, it means again, anew, or over again. That means we conduct a research, you know, in order to verify, in order to establish a knowledge or a body of facts. That is why we conduct the study repeatedly. Suppose one study is conducted to verify the effect of motivation on learning procedure. It is found that who are strongly motivated, they learn better than those who are not that motivated. One researcher or one group of researchers have found that after a considerable period of time or simultaneously, another group of researcher or another researcher may contradict that no, motivation is not the only factor, or motivation is not related to learning. They want to study this relationship over again. So there is a search for a fact, an assumption, and this search occurs over again. Here, search is considered as a verb, meaning to examine closely and carefully, to test and try, to probe. That means all these things are covered by the word search, and re means doing it over and again. So, putting it together, we can say that scientific research is a systematic and objective attempt to provide answers to certain questions. The purpose of scientific research is to discover and develop an organized body of knowledge. So, when we shall see the different definitions of research, we will found that systematic, the word systematic is repeated in those definitions, which means there is a pre-planned, uh, precise, and specific process to gather facts, to verify facts, and to put it in a related manner to form a body of knowledge. There are two parts in the concept of research. Apart from the etymological meaning or the word related meaning, there are two parts. One refers to the procedure itself, and the other part refers to the outcome. You will always see that the procedure will always focus on the systematic empirical analysis, recording of controlled observation, and the outcome will always focus to development of theories, concepts, generalizations, and principles, resulting in prediction and control of those activities that may have some cause effect relationship. That means it not only observes, it controls, and it predicts. How come? Because if we observe something in a specific context, control means we uh, we try to control all the related events in such a way that only we can focus on the cause of an event and the effect of an event. In that process, we shall able to uh, what to say, um, to predict that what will happen next, what will happen in future if the same control is exerted in the setting. In the present situation, we are controlling certain things and observing the effect of a particular event on a particular behavior of the organism. If that control can be exerted in future, the same thing will happen. This is called the prediction part of the research. So research also helps in prediction of certain events or certain behavior, I must say, because psychology, we all know psychology is science of behavior. Now coming to the criteria of good research. Purpose of research should be clearly defined and common concepts that are used should be operationally defined. Now, what is operational definition? See, there are certain concepts. We all know that there are certain abstract concepts in the field of psychology. Abstract in the sense that we cannot directly observe or measure them. We have to observe them through behavior. Like motivation, just now I have mentioned motivation and intelligence. We cannot see, we don't know the shape and size of intelligence and motivation and the color of them. What we can do, we can infer those things from the behavior of a person. Now, like the psychology subject itself, its concepts are also can be diversely defined. One group of theorists may say motivation is like pushing from within. One group will say no, it is pulling from outside. One group will say that no, it's a combination of both. So when we are doing a particular research, we are we choose one particular concept for conducting that specific research. And we define it in the way so that we can measure it or record it objectively. When we select a concept and define it in terms of a particular kind of observation, then it becomes construct. So from concept is more abstract. From concept we derive construct, that is more observable, measurable. Now in that construct, we use particular kind of terms in order to specify the uh, what to say, in order to specify that construct in terms of uh, behavior. That particular definition is called operational definition. That means you are all familiar by now, I guess, with the practical part of the of psychology, and you come across different tests of either personality or interest or intelligence, like those. So in those tests, uh, there is a particular kind of definition for intelligence or interest or personality. We cannot measure the entire personality in a single test. We measure a particular aspect of it. And doing so, we choose a particular operational definition of personality for that particular research. Now, the second criteria is that the research procedure should be precisely planned, focused, and appropriately described in order to enable other researchers to do research for further advancement. That means the research procedure must be pre-planned and it must be customized, it must be tailored in order to fulfill to uh, sorry I mean it so that it can fulfill the purpose of research, and the purpose of research must include advancement of knowledge. Otherwise, there is no purpose for conducting a research. If there is no advancement in knowledge, there is no purpose for research. The next thing is that the research design should be carefully planned to generate results to maintain objectivity. Objectivity is another characteristics of any science. For example, we can observe any phenomenon like what to say um, uh, a particular social change. uh, for example, the change in the method of study during pandemic. We started using online platform in a generous quantity from that period. So if someone observes the process of online learning, there may be difference in opinion. You can also do research on that. However, the purpose of research is to uh, maintain objectivity. Otherwise, it won't be a good research. That means objectivity ensures that the matter of the study will appear same for each participant or each observer. This is objectivity. That means there will be no personal bias that will influence the result of the research. That is objectivity. And the next thing that is mentioned for being a criteria of good research is that the research report should be as much as possible frank enough to gauge effects of the findings. Research report should not hide anything, any observation, any finding. Otherwise, it won't be possible to measure the effects received from the research. Otherwise, that will also be manipulated, that will also be subjective, that what we have obtained from the research is a manipulated one. So, the research is not effective. The next criteria is data analysis in the research report. That should be adequate. I cannot do it superficially. I cannot analyze superficially. Otherwise, we will lose the significance of the research. What data, what information we receive from the research, from the data, that will become fruitless if we cannot analyze it adequately. Information collected will be lost. There will be no effectivity. And the method of analysis also should be appropriate. I cannot apply the method of biology uh, or something, method of physics to analyze the data of psychology. That will be improper. So you need to know the proper way of data analysis. That is also the criteria of a good research. We are discussing all these things so that you know that what you need to learn while studying research methodology. And the last criteria which is mentioned here, that the data we have obtained in the course of our research, how far it is valid. That means it measures what it wants to measure. How far? And the reliability of the data, how far the data is reliable. That means if I collect data repeatedly from the same sample, will it be able to give same result? Will it be able to give same data? That is very important while you are conducting a research. Now we come to the objectives of good research. Objective of good research, what is said here? First of all, the main objective is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights into it. That either I gain information so that I become familiar with a particular uh, event, a particular process, or there is one established event or process already established, and we try to find a new angle, a new meaning in that established process. That is new insight. That should be the objective or purpose of research. Next objective is to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual. In case of psychology, this is the main objective. Otherwise, There is no utility of research in psychology. We deal with human behavior, and it is the purpose of any psychological research to describe, to portray as much as possible accurately the characteristics of a particular individual and a group of individual, like that. A sample, uh, we must be able to portray a particular individual, a particular situation or group while conducting a psychological research. Next objective is to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else. That means we have observed a particular incident that if I expose children to aggressive or violent TV programs, they exhibit more violence, more aggression in their play behavior. Now, that is a hypothesis. In order to establish that incident, that hypothesis, we need to observe not only that if a child is behaving in an aggressive manner after getting exposed to aggressive TV programs, not only that, but also how frequently the child is doing that, how frequently he is or she is exhibiting that violent behavior during his or her playtime. Once in 2 minutes, twice in 10 minutes, thrice in 10 minutes. The frequency will determine the intensity of a behavior. First, we observe what the child is doing or what the individual is doing, what is going on in this situation. That we observe, that is the description of the behavior or the situation or the incident. And next, we observe that how intensely it is occurring. You must know, or this is a common sense actually, that if a behavior occur thrice in 10 minutes and the behavior does not at all appear in 10 minutes, there is difference in the intensity of behavior. That is the purpose of research, to determine that whether the behavior is more intense, less intense, or not that significant. And number four, to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. That means which causes what. Just now, like I have said, that exposure to violent or aggressive TV programs will lead to increment of violent or aggressive behavior of individuals. So the exposure to TV program is the cause, is supposed to be the cause, and the aggressive behavior or violent behavior of children during playtime, that is the effect. So summing up, we can say that qualities of a good research is are it should be systematic, it should be empirical. Empirical means uh, based on objective observation, that those incidents are occurring in real life situation, in controlled situation, and it can be established in a cause and effect relationship. A good research must be, it should be valid, that it will focus on the incident it is supposed to observe, and it must be verifiable. We should be able to repeat the research process so that we can verify the findings which we obtained in the first uh, observation. And good research must be logical. There should be a reason, a logic for carrying out, for conducting that research. A good research must help in developing theories and principles, and the research should be replicable. If we want, we can replicate it under same condition. Now, psychological research process, it can be divided into two major categories. One in the context of discovery and one in the context of justification. In the context of discovery, we may get an idea about the relationship of different situations, different behavior, different events, incidents, like that, getting an idea. And the context of justification is we test it, that whatever we received in the process of discovery, that oh, it may occur due to this, or oh, it may occur when the another thing is occurring. uh, just take the example I have just mentioned, that the intensity of children's aggressive behavior occurs more, or intensity increases when the child is exposed to some violent or aggressive TV programs. So that in the first phase, it is a discovery that the child who is exposed to that kind of program, they are exhibiting more aggression during their playtime. Now, this is the context of discovery. If we want to test it, we need to control certain uh, conditions in the child's in the child's play setting or everyday TV watching setting. We need to control so that we can test it. While testing, we may do like this, that we can take two groups of children, expose one group of children to aggressive kind of program, and another group of children to something neutral, something exhibiting happiness and joy, or like that. And we, in consequence, we may observe their play behavior after a certain period of exposure. If we see that there is a difference in the um, occurrence or intensity of aggressive behavior during playtime, then we can justify, context of justification, that we can justify that yes, exposing to aggressive TV programs may lead to more aggressive behavior of children at their play settings. In the context of discovery, we will come across role of theories, hypotheses, paradigms, etc. What is a hypothesis? It is a tentative and testable explanation of the relationship between two or more events of variables. What is a theory? A theory is a set of new ideas or hypotheses and which is testable. What is a variable? Variable is any factor that changes or varies. There are certain research biases, like there may be other factors which can be present externally and influence the research setting. There may be personal bias, the person who is conducting the research, who is participating, there may be that kind of bias. There are, of course, observer bias. The person who is observing may get biased to observe uh, a certain incident in a particular way. There can be expectancy bias. Expectancy bias means before the actual outcome, we may expect that this will happen. And we may mold our way of observation in that way to fulfill our expectancy. There may be placebo bias. Placebo bias means, again, uh, even if there is no effect of certain condition, like placebo, the word placebo is often used in context of treatment. That when there is a disease and we go to doctor and we seek treatment, we have a belief that if we take the treatment, we will be cured. So under this belief, even if the treatment is not working, we think that it is working. That is called placebo effect. So there can be placebo bias in research also. There is no effect of a certain incident on another one, but we think that there is, since the incident has occurred, there will be effect. And even if there is no effect, we think that no, there is some kind of effect. In the context of justification, there are certain safeguards to be uh, considered in the research process. What are those safeguards? Procedural safeguards, standardization, operationalization, avoiding the bias. These are the four kinds of objectivity safeguards. That means, in order to keep research objective, we safeguard the process. Procedural safeguard means uh, it aims at minimizing subjectivity while collecting data and analyzing. Secondly, a procedure, when we are executing a process for data collection and analysis, um, we should be careful that the what to say, the process must be uniform for all participants, the process of data collection and the process of analysis. There must be a pre-planned, prefixed data collection procedure, That means the standard instruction of a test is a kind of standardization in data collection. When we are giving a particular test to participant 1, we are giving the instruction. When we are giving it to participant 2, 3 and 4 and 5, our instruction must be same. And the same thing will be applicable for the analysis of data also. There must be a predetermined scoring system that answering to option 1 is will be scored 0 for all the participants. It is not that it will be scored 0 for participant 1, 1 for participant 2, 2 for participant 3. No. If it is 0, it is predetermined as 0 and it will be same for all participants. That is standardization. And the third safeguard, which involves the standardizing the meaning of concepts. We have already discussed operational definition, operationalization. This indicates that there must be a predetermined, a fixed terms of definition for a particular concept. Uh, Next, there are steps of research that includes problem identification, formulation of hypothesis, identification and manipulation and controlling of variables. Look, we have already come across the concept of hypothesis and concept of variables. So we are applying in these steps. And the first process means problem identification, means the topic on which you are going to conduct a research. That is the first step. That whether you will work with housewives, you will work with school children, you will work with college students, and what kind of behavior you are going to observe, their personality, their anxiety, their mental health, their well-being. So these all things will come under problem. You have to identify the problem, and while we discuss how to identify a problem, then you will come across certain criteria and characteristics of problem also. A research problem must have certain criteria and characteristics. From problem, we must derive hypothesis, and then we must identify and do necessary manipulation and controlling of the variables included in the hypothesis. There must be a predetermined plan for conducting a research work, a blueprint, that is the research design. There must be a construction of devices for observation, how you are going to observe. Will you prepare a checklist? Will you take interview? Will you prepare a questionnaire? Will you take a already established questionnaire? What you will do? That comes under constructing devices for observation. Sample selection. You cannot take all housewives, all school children, or all college students. You need to take samples from, for which also you will require a predetermined characteristics of the sample, that I will take samples not younger than 18 years, not older than 30 years. I will take only female individuals. Um, my sample will be constituted of only females. I must take females who are only graduate. So there must be some predetermined characteristics based on which you will select sample. Then you will collect data using the devices for observation. Then we will go to data analysis. and interpretation. Then we will draw conclusion, prepare a report, and get prepared for publication of report. That is the subject matter, that is the content of Unit 1 of Block 1. Next, we'll come to Unit 2. We have only 6 classes for uh, this methodology part, each for 1 hour. That is why I am just touching all the points superficially. You must go through your, uh, uh, you know, um, the books, the study material given to you, and try to understand based on this discussion. Unit 2, before going to Unit 2, I just want to check the chat box once. Sahil said that are there still discoveries yet to be made? Yes, of course. 33 have joined so far. Uh, is there anything to say about Unit 1? Is there anybody apart from Sahil who want to say something? Okay, I guess no. So let us go to Unit 2. Um, okay, so let us begin Unit 2. In psychological testing, we come across the concept of standardization, what we have discussed just now, that there must be some kind of standardization to be maintained while conducting our research. Uh, this is a safeguard for maintaining objectivity of the research. So, while we develop a device for conducting a research, suppose a psychological test, we must be aware that those tests should be standardized. And two aspects of that standardization are validity and reliability. What is reliability? That it refers to the attribute of consistency of measurement. That means I have measured the IQ of an individual uh, by administering a particular intelligence test and found that his IQ is 120. If I will again administer the test 2 days after on the same individual, the same test if we administer, and if it gives us a result of IQ 90, then the test is definitely not reliable because there is no consistency in the score. So, in order to be standardized, in order to be uniform in nature, a test must be reliable. The particular statistics used for measuring reliability is the correlation. The Pearson product moment correlation coefficient, it can be used to measure the consistency of psychological test scores. If I test an individual or a group of individuals with the same test uh, after giving a time gap, it is called retest reliability. The advantage of this kind of reliability is that you are using same test, giving same instruction and using same sample. So uniformity is maintained. But what is the disadvantage? If I test, administer a test more than once, then the sample, the participant, they are already exposed to the test, to the items of the test, how the test will be done. They can manipulate their responses. So, retest reliability is a form of measuring reliability or consistency of a psychological test, but at the same time, it is suffering from the biasness of exposure. So, in order to what to say, in order to recover that limitation, one can use alternate forms reliability, where two different forms, different in the sense, different in their language, in their content, but the overall nature of item will remain similar. Two different tests will be made to measure one particular construct or one particular behavior. Then both are administered to a particular sample, and there is no need to give time gap. You can administer it successively, just one after another. And after administering, if there is a similarity in the scores obtained, so we can say that both the forms are reliable, they are consistent in their nature. So this is another form of reliability. There can be internal measurement of internal consistency. All these things, these test retest and the alternate form reliability, they measure the reliability of the test scores obtained. In case of internal consistency, what we see is that the items used in the test, if they are consistent with one another, such a kind of reliability is split half reliability. In case of split half reliability, what we do, we just divide the items of the test, particular test, into two halves. Then we see if the scores of first half is related to the scores of second half. There are another type we can use for examining reliability, that is called interscorer reliability, that we can also use, where we require examiner judgment for assignment of scores. A sample of tests is independently scored by two or more examiners, and scores for pairs of examiners are then correlated. So these are different methods of reliability. Then we may come to the validity of a test. There are different types of validity as well. There is content validity. We know what is validity. We have just discussed that the test measures what it purports to measure. That means if my test claims that I am measuring personality, I am measuring, better to say, I am measuring extroversion in personality, then it must examine extraversion only, not achievement motivation. So there must be careful selection of items for measuring a particular attribute, a particular behavior, a particular attitude. We must not confuse two or three types of behavior together and make a test. Then the test won't be valid. How I shall examine that whether the test is valid or not? The first is content validity. Content validity is determined by the degree to which the question, task, or items on a test are representative of the universe of behavior the test was designed to sample. Is it measuring the thing I am claiming to measure? That is measured by content validity. That means we examine all the content of a particular test before saying that it is valid. And just the opposite thing is face validity. Face validity means, from judging from a face, that how the person will be, judging from a book cover, that how the book will be. That is the most superficial way. But it can also be used sometimes for a quick judgment of a test. There must be criterion, there is criterion related validity that can again be uh, subdivided into concurrent validity and predictive validity. That means whether the test I am using is similar, giving similar result to another external test, another already established test. If it gives more or less similar result, then we can say it has a concurrent validity. And when suppose I am taking a maths test in the first quarter of the year of the students of class 8, the results obtained from the first unit test, if it becomes similar to the result of the annual examination at the end of the year, then we can say that the first unit test had some predictive validity quality. We can predict that how a student will score in annual exam. There is also external validity, which can be generalized to another situation. There can be internal validity, which is only valid for the particular research. Next, we come to Unit 3, where different types of variable, concept of variable, all things are discussed. What is a variable? A variable is some property of an event that takes on different values. That means, suppose the age of a sample, gender of a sample, educational level of a sample, uh, religion of a sample, or anxiety level of a sample. All these things are different characteristics that are within them or are acquired, the skill level of a sample. All these things, they can vary from person to person and may take different quantitative values. These characteristics, which may vary and can take different quantitative values, are termed variables. There are different kinds of variables. In psychological research setting, the most commonly used three variables are independent variables, dependent variables, and extraneous variables. Independent variables are the incidents or the situation or the any kind of event that can be manipulated by the experimenter or the study conductor in order to why they manipulate, in order to see those variables effects on behavior. Suppose the effect of reward on uh, disciplinary behavior of a group of children. So the conductor of the study or the experimenter, he or she is introducing reward in form of anything, any material object, any you know uh, any praise or appreciation or like this. So that is independent variable that was not present from the beginning. The experimenter has introduced that independent variable. And if there is an improvement in the disciplinary behavior of those children, of those Montessori group children or KG group children, then we can say that the independent variable has an effect on the disciplinary behavior of the children, which is dependent variable. Dependent variable means which is dependent on the independent variable and its change. There is quantitative variables and categorical variables. That means either we can quantify certain things, that means the score of an test 4.5, 4.6. We can quantify height, we can quantify weight, we can quantify age. All these variables we can quantify. But there are certain things we cannot quantify. They come under categorical variables. If we say that there are red cars and black cars, unless we say that there are how many red cars and black cars, only if I decided to keep it in the qualitative level, then it becomes categorical. There is active variables. What is introduced? That means reward is an an active variable. In the example I have mentioned, and the age of the children is an attribute variable. I cannot introduce the age. I can select a group of children of a certain age group. I cannot manipulate the age of a child. I cannot say that for the study's sake, you just change your age from 4 years to 5 years. No. That which we cannot change, but that can vary, that is important for the study, that is attribute variable. The gender of the participants, age of the participants, religion of the participants, we cannot manipulate. We can select as they come. There is continuous and discrete variables. Like just now I have said that continuous variables, we can quantify it in small gradation. 4.1, 4.13, 4.14. We can quantify weight and height and age, all these things, continuous. But we cannot measures in small grades the number of individuals in a family. We cannot say there are 4.5 members in the family. We either say there are 4 or 5 discrete variables. We cannot quantify them in fraction. That is discrete. Uh, there are also extraneous variables. Just now I have said that extraneous variables means they are like independent variables. But unlike independent variables, they are not manipulated by observer. They are not manipulated by the experimenter. because in a particular situation, simultaneously a number of independent variables interact and they exert their effect on dependent variable. But our purpose is to study, experimental's purpose is to study the effect of one or sometimes two variables, two independent variables on the dependent variable. But there are other variables in the situations that may exert their effect, then they are needed to be controlled. So those extraneous variables, we need to identify them, we need to control them in order to establish a particular cause and effect relationship. And there is also intervening variable. Intervening variable means it acts between independent variable and dependent variable. Like if we take the example of the reward effect of reward on disciplinary behavior, then we must find that reward is independent variable. We have introduced it. It motivates the children to perform disciplinary behavior more consistently. That motivation is intervening. We are not measuring it directly, but it is working in between the reward and the disciplinary behavior. That is intervening variable. Personality of respondents. You cannot manipulate the personality of a person who is coming to you for giving anxiety test. That is intervening variable. And there is the concept of construct. I have already discussed it. A construct is a concept. It has added meaning and it is adopted for a special scientific purpose. There are two types of constructs again: intervening and hypothetical. Intervening variables is a term which is internal and directly unobservable. Psychological processes, like just now I have said about motivation, but motivation is inferred from behavior, and hypothetical construct is a theoretical term which is employed to describe something real. That is, it is an intermediary which has tangible characteristics. That means I have said intelligence. Intelligence is an abstract term, it's a theoretical term. But if I say logical reasoning or simply reasoning, uh, vocabulary, those are hypothetical constructs. That means we are using it to measure certain aspect of intelligence, a theoretical construct. And it is 12 already. Well, yes, Pradeep Day, Mr. Pradeep Day, I have just now discussed about dependent, independent, and there is no controlled variable. Those are experimental extraneous variable which we need to control. And please write your enrollment number and study center code. So we may know that you are present and you are from which study center. Just write that thing. Okay. Let us go back to the unit 4 of today's topic. It discusses again about hypothesis. We just mention here two types of hypothesis, two broad types of hypothesis. One is null hypothesis, another is alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis represents the situation as the effect of as no effect hypothesis, rather to say. That means when we assume that independent variable has no effect on of dependent variable, then it is called null hypothesis. And there is alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis states that there is a particular type of effect on of independent variable on dependent variable. It is not possible to discuss all types of hypothesis in this small period of time. You may find the rest of the content in your study material, and if we get time in the last classes, in last two classes or last one class, then we will discuss the all the things that cannot be discussed in the course. You may just mention at that time in the chat box that what more things you want to discuss again, if we have time in the classes. And if we need all 6 classes to cover this material, then it would not be possible to discuss again some doubtful things. There are researchers who survey the entire populations for two reasons. uh, sorry, uh, sorry, very sorry. The researchers does not survey the entire population. Why? The cost is too high and the population is dynamic in the sense that the individuals who are consisting, who are making up the population may change over time. Age may change, one may die, another person may born. Everything can happen. So it is not possible for a researcher to study the entire population. So what a researcher does, he or she may take the particular amount of individuals, a particular number of individuals who represent the entire population, that particular amount or the number of individuals who contain all the characteristics of a population is called a sample. That means uh, sample is very much important for uh, for conducting a particular research. There is also different types of sample. There is also different types of sampling procedures that can be again read from the study material given to you. And that I think we have come to end of the block 1 and the end of the class also. It is already 5 minutes past from 12 and we must conclude our class here. We will meet again tomorrow and you will get necessary link in due time. So thank you. I am going to stop the stream right now. We will meet again.